Hi, my name is Alexis Birmingham, and today I'm going to be presenting on the truth behind homelessness in America. So, just a little bit of introduction, I guess. I feel really passionate about the topic of homelessness. It's something that I chose early on in the semester for my complex problem. I think that as a whole, we tend to stigmatize what we believe homelessness to look like rather than really educating ourselves and doing our research and really just digging deep into what can it look like? What is homelessness? And not just, stereotyping the guy off of the exit on the corner of the stoplight, or the person on, you know, the bench trying to get some sleep, or someone maybe in front of your door seeking shelter. That is not always what homelessness will look like. And so today I kind of want to educate and really kind of remove that stigma, remove that stereotype that comes behind what someone truly thinks, homelessness will look like. So, going on to the next slide I have here, my audience. Who do I want to really be mainly focusing on for the audience? And so, as a general statement, I would say the American people. But more specifically, I want to kind of dig deep and get into, my generation, because my generation is the generation that is really big into change, really big into let's do this, let's get this done, let's strive for this. And so I think it's really important from our generation specifically, those who are, hitting 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 age range, really, dig deep and educate ourselves and really, understand what the complex issues of our day truly are, specifically in the situation, homelessness. About the leading causes of homelessness. And the biggest one I'm seeing right now is definitely the pricing of homes, of renting, of owning, of pretty much anything. It's crazy how expensive homes are right now. And I have specifically looked at an article, and it is called Dynamics of Homelessness in Urban America. And this is by Chris Glenn and Emily Fox. And I pulled from the article, and it says, homelessness is a complex problem with many potential contributing factors, though previous research has consistently identified the cost of rental housing as a significant predictor of homelessness. So as we continue to raise prices of food, of water, of clothing, of any type of product, and as well as shelter, we continue to raise the risk of people being homeless, being kicked out of their homes because they simply cannot afford to live in their current home. And I think that's quite a sad place for us to be as Americans when we literally cannot afford to live anymore. And that's when it ties into how the government wants to literally strangle us and make it so that it's so hard for us to do things, on our own. It's to the point where we're almost required, or it's necessary to seek help from the government. Another leading cause of homelessness is, we want to look at, mental illness. Mental illness is a big thing, and it can definitely lead you to do certain things. And I don't want to get into direct specifics, but we look at depression, we look at anxiety, and we look at, factors like your work or your family life, and all those things can affect our mental health, can affect our choices, our actions, and that can definitely affect, our state of being in the world. I pulled from another article. It's called The Economics of Homelessness by John Quigley and Stephen Raphael. It says, it is generally believed that the increased incidence of homelessness in the U.S. has arisen from broad societal factors, such as changes in the institutionalization of mentally ill, increases in drug addiction, and alcohol usage. So many things that, everyday people partake in can definitely impact your life and your likelihood to now have a home. People get into gambling. People get into just, this mindset of, I don't care, what is there to lose? And that is also another way, you can literally lose everything, including a home. Now, that is not one of the leading causes. That's, definitely one of them, but it's not a leading cause. But I still wanted to shed light to it to, make people aware that it is a thing. So I want to look at the statistics. I want to look at and educate us on what is our homeless population right now. So I pulled from another article. It's called Homelessness in America. And it says on a single night in January of 2020, 408,891 single adults were homeless. 51% or 209,413 were unsheltered, marking the first time there are more individuals living unsheltered than in shelter. 49% or 199,478 were sheltered. That is, had temporary beds to sleep in. 70% were men, 29% were women, and 1% identified as transgender or gender nonconforming. And that is from the National Alliance to End Homelessness. We have to acknowledge, what the population of homelessness looks like in order to really provide a change. Because depending on age, on gender, it can affect that. And it can affect the solution we have to put in play. I also want to look at specifically at veterans, because veterans is it's crazy, but it's one of our highest homelessness population is veterans. Again, from the same article, it says on a single night in January 2022, 37,252 veterans were experiencing homelessness. 22,048 veterans were sheltered, while 15,204 veterans were unsheltered. Most homeless veterans were without children. Only 2% were homeless as part of a family. 91.3% were men, while 8.4%, which is about 3,126 veterans, were women. And again, this is from the National Alliance to End Homelessness. So I really just want us to acknowledge what, the population looks like and kind of what it is. Just a little bit of education here. I don't want to, dig super deep, but I want to give us a little bit of education. And then now I just want to kind of go over who could be, for example, someone who lives in their car. They don't technically have a home, but they have per se a shelter. Because just because you are homeless does not mean you are without shelter. People have this idea that if you're homeless, you're dirty or you're poor, or you don't have anything, or you don't have any type of shelter, which simply is just not the case in most scenarios. It is a majority of people that are homeless that just don't have shelter for the most part. But we also need to acknowledge as a whole that it could people, for example, as in this picture, a family living in a car, okay? Because not everyone's going to be without some type of shelter. They could be moving from home to home, whether it's with a family friend, or maybe a neighbor, a coworker, something. They may technically be homeless, but they also don't always have to be without shelter. Okay, and I want to talk about is trying to make an impact. And this is when I get to the Home More Project. Earlier in the semester, I specifically did research on them. This is a nonprofit organization that main goal is to help the homeless. I believe they're currently in New Jersey right now. That is the one city they are located in, and they have plans to expand by 2024. Their main purpose, their main goal is to bring people into, what they call their campus. And this is kind of to get a population of homeless people and start their journey of supporting them. And this starts from bringing them on all the way to, giving them an education for life skills, like maybe a trade or helping provide something more than that, all the way to getting them a job and getting them back into the world and housing them. So it's very, very important. This is one of my, one of the organizations that I really am passionate about, really believe they're doing something to make a change. And for example, here, there's 27-step journey, and that is specifically toward helping the homeless. And I think it's important because sometimes and oftentimes we look at people who are trying to help the homeless and it's short-term solutions. It's not long-term. And this Homework Project definitely they are trying to help in the long term. So I did include a link for a YouTube video, and this is kind of explaining their most recent invention, I guess, the Homework Project. It's called the Makeshift Traveler. And in here, it's kind of like a backpack that they're handing out to the homeless. And in it are just some basic necessities. So I know they had like some clothing, some basic clothing, like a t-shirt, some sweatshirt. They had a solar panel that was on the outside of the makeshift traveler. You can notice right there. That is for allowing them to charge, maybe if they have a phone, they can charge a radio and a flashlight, which is all included in the backpack. And there also is a brochure in there as well. This is listing about 15 partnerships with other nonprofit organizations, food banks, healthcare services, churches, and more. This is definitely an organization that I truly believe in. They're not just trying to bring us temporary solutions. It's long term, and they're truly trying to fight for the population, fight for the people, and it's something that I think is very, very important, because there are so many Americans that remain homeless, and I think it's up to us to educate and to really be part of the change, be part of the solution. The time is literally now. We cannot wait any longer to be part of the change. And this is why I'm so passionate about this organization and about the topic of an education of homelessness and what truly matters. Now, I didn't cover everything that I wanted to cover today, but I definitely covered quite a bit, and I really hope that this helps educate some people and really makes them just as passionate as I am in going along with this journey and with supporting those people. And I encourage you to support these organizations. And this is not the only organization, but this is one of the main ones that I did do a lot of research on. And I encourage you to support them, to donate, and whether that be with money, with food, with clothing, anything like that, anything that really can be an impact on someone's life. I encourage you, and I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching my presentation.